Hi, I'm Dawn and this is where Shabby meets Bling. Today I will be using thrifted items to make a tablescape. And not just a normal tablescape, a tablescape that will be dark and dramatic, yet soft and romantic. This tablescape arrangement will be perfect for Halloween. Before we get started, I would love to thank Sammie of Unicorn Dust Designs and Kay and Trish of the Crafting Cousins for hosting another Thrift Flip Road Trip Open Challenge. This leg of the road trip is taking you to Illinois, Northern Illinois, where I'm located. Here are some of the items I'll probably be using that were thrifted recently. These candlesticks for sure I'm using these. I love them. They're metal. Someone got kind of crazy and did looks like a metallic silver coating on them and didn't do it well. It's kind of drippy, but that's okay. This is a vintage Girl Scout tin to look like a book. I know I'm using this thing too. I mean, it's pretty cool. It's worth a tiny bit of money, but once again, I don't care about any of that. This frame I thought was pretty cool, so I'll either use this or maybe even make something tiny similar to it. This wood plaque, yeah, wood plaques. You gotta buy them when you see them, and cheap and that big, you know I'm using this. And I also got some styrofoam. Somebody used half of it. I don't care. It was a good piece and I got it for almost nothing. So win-win, let's begin. This is a first for me. I get to jump right into painting. Usually I'm tearing stuff apart and making a big old mess, but the only thing I need to tear off is that sticker. We'll get it off, and then we're gonna start painting. And I'm gonna paint the whole thing a beautiful truffle chalk paint from Waverly. I will not only paint the front, but then once this dries, I'm gonna flip it over and I'm gonna paint the upside down, the back side, the reverse side, the upside down side. I'm gonna paint the bottom. Yes, I'm gonna paint the bottom as well. Like usual, I am adding felt to the bottom. I like to add felt to the bottom of my projects like this, just to protect whatever piece of furniture they end up sitting on. You figure that way it can't scratch, but then again too, the paint can't get, you know how sometimes you'll put a piece of whatever it may be that's painted onto a surface, and if there's moisture in the air or whatnot, it'll peel the paint off onto whatever object it's sitting on. So this helps avoid that. This piece was so big, I needed 2 pieces of felt, and I'm just hot gluing them in place, and then I will trim off the edges. I decided since I had 3 candlesticks, they should all have something special to sit on. So this little plaque I got resale, and I think it was like $1. And the other one was a wood piece from Hobby Lobby. And of course I got it on sale, and it came in a pack of 2. So I'm painting them, and I'm gonna treat them the same as the large plaque. Segue to the Girl Scout book. I have to clean it up and give it a coat of spray paint. Here it is, post paint, and it has been given 2 coats, and we'll do more to that little guy later. But right now we're going to take our styrofoam, and I'm going to cover this little wood plaque that we painted, because I'm going to be creating a tablescape using the book and the candlesticks as well. I am designating here where I want to cut my styrofoam, because I've laid out my pattern on the front side, the top side of my styrofoam, and now I'm just cutting it down so that it fits on the plaque. Once I have it carved into the basic shape that I want it, I'm going to start to carve away and create recesses and then raised areas in the styrofoam, because you can see how I've outlined the book. My book will sit there, and I want it to look like it's sitting up high, kind of on a little tiny hill. And my candlesticks as well, my candlestick, one of them is going on this, is going to be also sitting up high. And then I'm going to create like a little recessed valley in the one area. you can see as I carve how my form starts to take shape. It starts to take shape of a little hill. So a little tiny hill where these items are going to sit. Now that I've acquired the shape I want, I am going to hot glue it, just hot glue, to my little wood plaque. And make sure you get enough hot glue on there. You don't need to overkill, but just enough to hold it in place. Styrofoam holds pretty darn easily. And just make sure you get it straight. Dries so fast. And hold it in place. And now it's time for some moss. And I am using forest moss. There are so many different types of moss, but I think this looks earthy and lovely and real. I like Spanish moss, but it just doesn't, it doesn't look real, even though I know it is. And I am not going to glue my moss onto the styrofoam. I'm going to use floral pins. It is the best way when you're covering a large area like this. Then you also do not ruin your moss if you ever want to take this apart. Remember our two little plaques? And I told you we're treating them the same? Well, relatively the same. They are painted the same color. They have felt on the back side, and only one is going to get the styrofoam. And you can see I married 3 little scrap pieces together so I don't waste any. And I'm going to glue it in place. And I'm also going to moss it, just like the big boy. Now that all my plaques are prepared, I need to really get going on what was that Girl Scout book. As you saw, we have previously painted this little Girl Scout book, what was the Girl Scout book, and now I'm adding my title. You can see I've got some blue painter's tape on a straight line so that when I put my little sticky letters on here, I will not mess up. And it's an illusion. The cover of the book is crooked, it's bent. So I am going in a straight line. And the title of this book is Hamlet. To see another way, I use these exact same little stickers, these little letter stickers. Check out my video, Fortune Teller's Handbook. I have also added some of my handmade sticky stencils just for a little flair so that the book looks a little more designed. And this is the exact same fleur-de-lis that I used in another video. It's been well established. I save everything. I burnish down my sticky stencils really well, and I give it another coat of paint. That's to seal in all my stencils, all of them, so that nothing will bleed underneath them. And now I'm going to tape off the pages because I want them to remain this color. The book will be a different color, and as soon as we get this taped off, it will get another coat of paint or 2. You know me, I gotta paint the you know what out of this thing. There she is. Painted, painted, painted. Woohoo, so much fun. Now I have to get those sticky stencils and the letters off of here. So I heat it up with my handy dandy fancy heat gun, aka my blow dryer, and I remove all of the sticky stencils. I get them all off, and then it's time for some detail painting. And I'm just using a few of my favorite my favorite colors in chalk paint, of course, and these are all Waverly. And I'm gonna add some detail to my fleur-de-lis, the letters, the whole 9 yards. Everybody gets some detail. I want my book to look like leather. Not pleather, but real leather. So I'm taking one of my little spongy brushes, and I'm just cutting little nips out of it. So there's like little dents and little pockets that will not catch the paint, and then other areas that will catch the paint. And I'm going to use this on my book. Well, there's my little spongy brush, and I am comboing 3 different chalk paints, and I'm just giving them a little swirly swirl so that they are mixed in one little area, and that in other areas they are pristine. And Terry of Robin's Nest and Monica of Up All Night would probably have a stroke at how I'm painting this, but I'm not a professional painter like they are. So I am just taking it and I'm just dabby dab all over the book. I'll do all of it except the pages, of course, until it's covered and till it's to my satisfaction. Yep, dab. Now it's time to add some pages to our book. And I am using my little rake brush. It's a wisp brush, but I think it looks like a little rake. So it's my rake brush. And it doesn't matter if my lines are straight or not because this book is old. The pages are warped and worn and it's been discarded. So it doesn't matter how wiggly my lines are. It actually adds to the effect of what I'm doing. Now that all my detail paint is applied and is dry, I'm going to add a coat of antiquing wax to the whole thing. And you can see how it really brings out that pattern of that little dabbing that we did earlier. I mean, it just really gives it a warm, old definition. I will even wax the pages. So you'll see in a little bit how this turns out, and I'm really thrilled with it. Next up, candlesticks. These were such a great find. I mean, they're pretty heavy too, you guys. I mean, when I picked one up, for $1, I thought I would pay $1 for one of them. But then there was 3, a set of 3. Let's visit my rusting bucket. I don't know if you remember my rusting bucket. I did a video on rusting techniques, and that'll be in the description box below. But this is my current batch, and I'm rusting some bells for Christmas. But do you see this residue in the bottom? That is rust starting to form, and we are going to use that right now. I have temporarily taken my bells out of my rusting bucket, and I have dug out all that rust slurry that was in the bottom. I'm going to put this in the oven to dry out for a short time, keeping a really close eye on it, and then we're going to use it. So here's one of my candlesticks painted, just brown. It's Rust-Oleum, just brown, not dark brown, just brown, and it's a flat. And now I am taking some apple barrel, I think it's burnt sienna, and I'm just very lightly and here and there, not the entire candlestick, I am painting, and then I am sprinkling on the now dry rust mix, and I will shake it off, and I will do this in areas, not everywhere, but in areas on all 3 candlesticks. After this step, they will get a coat of paint, and while it is still wet, not soaking wet, but just like sticky to the touch, I'm going to add the following mixture. Yet another combo that I use when I'm making a rust mixture, and I'm going to mix taco seasoning and Hershey's cocoa, and it's a dark cocoa mix, and so there's no sugar, no actual anything that anybody could want to get at, and it smells really good. But rust, natural rust, has an orange tint to it. It's not just brown. So we want to make sure that we have a rust color. So the rust itself that is forming that we used prior is a little bit thicker and grainier, and this is going to be finer. And if you've ever looked at anything that's rusty, it truly has different levels of rustiness on it, and we are going to create that right now. So exciting. It's so cool. How about we throw some salad tongs into the mix? You heard right. Salad tongs. These are salad tongs, and I picked them up at the Dollar Tree. I also picked up a skull, and the skull and these little tongs are going to be part of my table scape. Now, I can't use them as tongs because they're stiff and unbendable, and well, they're salad tongs, right? And they also work great as kitty cat scratchers because My little blue absolutely loved this. And then the others had to get on it as well because they was like, oh, that feels good, Ma. So yeah, there you go. So I took the salad tongs out to my scroll saw and I cut them apart. So I ended up with 2 little hands and 4 arm bones. And they are rough on the edges, but boy, they cut so slick on the scroll saw. So nice. I will do that again. And now I'm going to sand them. Sand them, kind of curve them so they really look like joints on the end. I have mixed 3 different paint colors to get this green. And the green I am trying to achieve, and I got as close as I could, was the green of that skull I told you I bought at the Dollar Tree. So now that I've got my mixture of these 3 colors, I am going to paint my little hand bones and then the arm bones. And I have already done a texturizing technique over them and given them 1 coat of just a normal green spray paint. And now it's time to use this color on all of them, both sides. All of our main components are complete. But do you remember that frame I showed you earlier? Well, I was right. I do need to make something smaller. Much smaller. I drew myself a little oval template and I am now tracing it directly onto my silicone mat. This is my mat I use for my hot glue gun because the ones that are, it's a baking mat, but it is super handy and very large, and I am writing right on it. And now I'm gonna take my hot glue gun, and it has a special little nozzle. You can see the little package there, and it has, I think, like 6 different nozzles, which are really cool. And I've got a really teeny tiny one here, and I am going to create a tiny little pendant, kind of like what you would see with a locket. And I'm creating 2 of these, and wait till you see how it turns out. But I've got my black glue, and I'm telling you, I'd not worked with black glue before, and it is very different than your normal glue, probably because of the dye inside. But I just build up and build up until I get it the way I want, and there we go. The very last thing I need to actually make or do or redo are these candles. I'm using the candlesticks, and I did pick these up. They're LED. Picked them up at the Dollar Tree, and they are gonna get a makeover. I have used a lot of old floral scraps that I've had for a long time with a few new Hobby Lobby florals to create my dark and dramatic and soft and romantic Halloween tablescape. Deep in the forest, you will find the remains of a love gone wrong. You can see that skeleton hand reaching out, and the bone all twisted with vine because everything's overgrown. There's our Hamlet book. Really turned out well. Looks so old. And those rusted candlesticks look like you just dug them up out of your backyard, and they'd been buried there for 50 to 100 years. Let's take a closer look at those rusted candlesticks. I mean, come on. So rusty, so old, so shabby yet chic. And you can see if you take the bones away, you could use these any time of year. They're just rustic. Rustic and beautiful. I find rust absolutely gorgeous. So pretty. So pretty. There's that outstretched hand and our pages of our book. Don't they just look old and weathered? And the entire back of this arrangement is complete as well, in the round. I like to make everything so it's visible from all sides. And I did complete all sides, even way over here. All overgrown with years and years of neglect. So beautiful, so sad, dark and romantic. And here are the pendants of our lost loves. just laying dormant now forever in that open skeleton hand. We're really happy with the way they turned out. I'll be doing that again. So easy. And see how all three pieces work so well together as one, and they tell a story. A beautiful, dark, romantic story. So lovely. So perfect for Halloween. I hope you've enjoyed your trip to the Midwest on this edition of Thrift Flip Road Trip Open Challenge. Don't forget to check out the playlist. It's in the description box below, as well as these lovely ladies' channels. Give them all some love, some likes, comment, and subscribe. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like. Share it with your family and friends and anyone that loves decor, especially Halloween decor. Leave me a comment. I'd love to hear from you. You can show your support of this channel by subscribing, so don't forget to subscribe. But for now, this is Dawn with Shabby Meets Bling. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time.